That's all from me today. And now let's get into the news from the world of international affairs. Breaking news coming in from the Gaza Strip. Israel has launched a ground offensive into the southern Gaza town of Rafah. This comes despite Hamas agreeing to a ceasefire and the Egyptian authorities saying that they will respect the truce. Now, this Israeli ground invasion is likely to raise concerns over the safety of hundreds of thousands of Palestinian civilians who remain in Rafah. So what exactly is happening there? Well, Israel says that they've uncovered tunnels used by Hamas just 100 meters from the Rafah hospital. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces have released video purportedly showing these tunnels. They say that these tunnels were used to smuggle weapons and fighters. Now, Israel says that the tunnel network goes all the way up to the border with Egypt, and that these tunnels were used to launch attacks against Israeli soldiers. But the timing of this military operation is really interesting because just a day before, on Saturday, the IDF announced that they had uncovered another tunnel in the northern Gaza Strip. And the second that this happened, the Hamas group said that they had reached a ceasefire agreement with Israel. But now it seems that this ceasefire has fallen apart because Israel has launched this new offensive in Rafah. The Israeli incursion has come after days of heavy bombardment. Now, this comes amid international calls for a humanitarian pause in the nearly 2-month-long conflict. And this is something that the international community is watching very closely, because if indeed there were civilians killed in this Israeli strike, then it could complicate matters for Israel and put them on the wrong side of international public opinion. Now, Israel says that they're committed to the safety of Palestinian civilians. They say that they've dropped thousands of leaflets over Gaza ahead of the ground offensive, warning the civilians to evacuate the area. But as we know, not everyone can leave their homes. Not everyone can just pick up and go, and the fear is that many Palestinian civilians may be trapped in this crossfire. And if that happens, then things could get very messy for Israel. Meanwhile, the international community is calling for restraint. The United Nations has called for an immediate de-escalation. The U.S. has urged Israel to exercise restraint and protect civilians, and India, too, has called for peaceful means to resolve the conflict. In other news from the region, India conducted missile strikes on, 2 separate locations on Pakistani territory. This comes in the aftermath of the deadly attack on Indian tourists in Pakistan in the month of April. Now, India says that those missiles destroyed the whole area of the target. There was no loss of life or injury to any civilian, but Pakistan has condemned this operation, calling it an act of war. They say that 2 children were killed in this attack. Their names are Hamza and Hasnain, and Pakistan says that they will respond at a time and place of their choosing. Pakistan also said that they lodged a protest with the United Nations Security Council. Now, what did Pakistan-administered Kashmir have to do with the attack on Indian tourists? Well, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs says that the GM militant group operating from Pakistan claimed responsibility for this attack. Now, this group uses the line of control as a cover to launch attacks on Indian territory. Remember, the line of control is the de facto border between the two countries. It's not an official border, but it's the line that divides the two regions. And the fear is that militants from this region can cross over and carry out attacks, and Pakistan seems to be doing very little to stop them. So India carried out these strikes to preempt such attacks from happening. The first ever missile strikes carried out by India on Pakistani soil. In response, the UK has updated its travel advisory. It now says that British nationals should avoid all travel within 10 kilometers of the India-Pakistan border and the so-called line of control. They've also been warned not to travel to certain regions in Pakistan, including Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and Rawalpindi.